Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? Now, just because this event is virtual doesn't mean that we can just sit back and relax, right? And just enjoy. Although what we just heard from Jason was truly amazing. Like, I am like blown away. I've already downloaded the album. But yes, I want to encourage you to use the chat. And so if anything that I say just really sits well with you, just give me some love, show me some love. I love it. Stacey's got the hands clapping. Absolutely, yes. So I'm not sure if Adam mentioned this. I know you guys know, but my name is Karissa. And I'm the CEO and founder of 365 Daily Hustle. I'm a health and wellness expert. I'm a mother of 2 beautiful children and 3 fur babies, and just a total champion for women's health and well-being. And before I really kick off tonight, it's kind of funny, like stuff just happens for a reason, right? And today, my social media, this morning at 4:30 before the gym, Jason said something earlier, and it just it sparked me. I said, I admire the women who choose to shine even after all the storms they've been through. So we can become the warrior of our lives, right? We can become the fighter, but we have to choose. We have to choose to rise up and have faith. My message really tonight is I want to be able to talk to you about how you can break through the pain, right? And spark some change within inside of you. So who here, and show me some love in the chat, who here thinks that 2020 has been just a bit difficult? I think we can all agree that the 2020 was like a total shocker, and that it has been difficult on some level, right? 2020 has been a huge challenge for me, but I have never faced a challenge or a difficult situation that I have yet to not be able to overcome. So when I think of 2020, obviously the big word that comes to mind is that we think COVID. And a lot of you have negative thoughts like running through your head when it comes to COVID and what we've been living through the last 8, 9, 10 months. But a couple of things come to mind for me, right? Now, COVID has brought lots of restrictions, lots. It's brought lots of rules and new guidelines and regulations, right? We all are living a little bit different lives than we were a year ago. It's also brought lots of fear that has been living inside us that we may not have known that was there. But it has also brought opportunity and growth and wisdom and love and support. It's so easy to get caught up on the feeling of we can't do something, right? We think like, well, I can't go to the store when I want to now. I can't go to church when I want to now. It's just easy to get caught up in that I can't. We also get caught up on what we maybe feel like we're missing out on, or the lack of control that we've had in our lives, right? We can feel that. But I want to encourage you to, instead of focusing in on what you can't, or what you can't do or what you can't control, I want you to shift your focus on what you can do and the areas in your life that you still have control over. Now, it's about looking, of course, for the opportunity and the growth within something that's been a little scary for us all to live in, right? It's about always trying to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. Now, I know it is really tough to see positive in a world that wants us to see so much chaos and feel so much fear. But I'm going to give you just really quickly 3 tips on how you can, choose something better for yourself. So number 1 is you can always reconnect with faith, right? God is always there. His word is always there. His love is always there for us. He's there to support us and guide us when we need him, and even when we don't think we need him. The second quick tip on this is you can detox all the negativity in your life, right? You can limit your TV and media and news time, and you can unfollow people in your life that are just sucking your energy dry. You can do so much with 2020 if we just sit back and say, what did I learn, right? What has this experience taught me? It's taught me to be It's taught me to reconnect. It's taught me to stay focused. Steve Marabola said, incredible change happens in your life when you decide to take control over what you have power of, instead of craving control over what you don't. So tip number 3 is I want you to look for the areas in your life that you can control, because you guys, when life feels crazy and overwhelming, we feel like we don't have any control over our lives. But the truth is we do, right? We do. Knowing the difference between the things that you can control and the things that you cannot comes up so frequently, both in my life and in my clients' conversations, right? They just feel so trapped. They feel like the weight of the responsibility is on them, and they feel like they don't have control. But when you can shift again into thinking, what do I have control over? You start to take back that power. You start to take back your power, you guys, when you realize that, yes, you do have control over the things that you think about and your reactions. Let me give you just a couple examples that just came up this week, right? The other day, someone didn't like what I had said on Facebook. She said, I don't agree with you. And I said, you know what? That's fine. And at first I was hurt, right? So I was like, oh, I'm just coming from a place of love. But what I realized is that I cannot control other people's reactions. I cannot control other people's feelings and beliefs and opinions about me. But I can control how I act, right? I can control the people that I surround myself with. Another example that I had just 2 weeks ago is that, because you guys, I'll be honest, I struggle with feeling like I'm not enough sometimes, right? And sometimes I realize that when my clients aren't getting as big as transformation as I'm wanting to, sometimes I quickly go into thinking, what's wrong with me, right? What am I doing wrong? What could I do more of? And instead, I have learned, right, over time to sit back and think, it's not me. Because Karissa, you are doing everything you can. You cannot make your clients do the work. They have to do the work, right? We have to learn and grow. We have to take the pain and turn it into our own power. So when we focus on what we can control, we don't worry so much about what we can't. That's a writer downer. If you guys are listening, right? I just want you to write that down, because just writing it down, someone needs to hear that, right? When we focus in on what we can control, we don't worry so much about what we can't. So I want you to lean into faith if you're struggling. I want you to detox the negative things and people out of your life. And I want you to identify where you have control over. Now, the second part that I want to share with you tonight is how your habits and your routines can help you boss up and get through anything that is challenging you. And when I say boss up, y'all are going to know that that's like one of my favorite lines, right? I help babes boss up in life. But when we boss up, it means we take a challenging moment and we step through with faith, right? We know that on the other side of this uncomfort zone, of the fear and the pain, we are going to be okay, right? That's bossing up. So the second part that I'm going to share with you is how my habits and routines and rituals have allowed me to get through any challenging time. And I'm going to share with some of those tools and strategies here with you today. So back in March, right? Go back all the way to where you were in March. I was building my coaching business. I was coaching clients. I was speaking on real stages with a giant like mic and the people, and it was beautiful, right? I was living my best life, truly. When all of a sudden, we were all told that the states were locking down, schools were closing, kids were now coming home to learn. Sanitizer and masks were a must. And y'all, the toilet paper shortage was so real in my house. I literally Facebooked out and I was like, can I just have one roll from someone? Right? That's what I was experiencing in March. I went from building my business and becoming a very successful coach and speaker and trainer to a full-time teacher, mother, nurse, chef, hairdresser, speaker, personal trainer, you name it. I did it. Just like many of you probably did, right? Who can relate to that? Who is still living the multiple wearing hat still? Lots of people are. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a couple weeks in March where I felt overwhelmed. I felt stressed out. I looked up at God and said, why is this happening? And I felt fear for once that had been so long in my heart. I haven't felt fear in a long time, but last March I did, right? Now, some of you might still be living with lots of anxiety. Some of you might be worried about everything and how everything is going to pan out. And some of you may still be fearing and stressing over about what's going to happen next. But y'all, there's something really beautiful about a giant world pandemic, right? It's that it's worldwide. We are all in it together. None of us have ever experienced this kind of craziness before. Nobody expects you to have it all figured out. Nobody expects you to be at the top of your game. Nobody expects you to show up to tonight's call without the kid crying, the dog barking, or Amazon like ringing your doorbell, right? Nobody expects you to figure it all out. This world, this pandemic has created like a new normal, and it's asking us to hit the reset. It's asking us to rise up. Now, COVID has definitely created a new normal for everyone, right? COVID has taught us to slow down. And whether we like that or not, it's forced it to us, right? Is anyone a type A, like go-getting, fear-facing, like I love stuff all day long? That's me. So when COVID forced me to slow down and I couldn't do all the things that I like to do, I was like, what can I do, right? I stopped and I hit the reset. And I said, Karissa, you can either let this ruin, like just consume you, or you can boss up and you can learn like what this lesson is that I'm supposed to be learning. And it is to slow down. Okay. So we've all realized probably what's really, really important to us because of COVID. That is a lesson that I 100% believe that if you look back, you can now probably appreciate a few more things in your life, right? Maybe it's a hug. If it's a handshake, maybe it's your health and your mental health. Maybe it's dinner out to eat with friends. Those are all so, so precious to us right now, right? Just praising and worshiping with thousands is totally different than doing it online. And we are like, eventually we will get back to that, right? But looking back, you guys, looking back, I believe that I was able to get through this tough, challenging time so gracefully because of a couple things. Number one, my faith in God, right? I said, God, you have never, ever put me in a situation that I have not been able to overcome. From my toxic, abusive relationships, to my divorce, to my autoimmune disease, like that crippling disease that I'm always going to have to live with. But I looked up, I said, okay, I'm ready for you to tell me what I'm supposed to learn now, because this is tough. But the lesson here is that you can always lean into faith, right? The second thing is that my past trauma and struggle and hardship has made me so resilient, y'all. Like that is my superpower. If I was like a superhero, that would be it. But the third thing is my habits and my routines and my values and my rituals. So successful people, high achievers, I think we all have something in common. I think we all stick to our habits and we stick to our routines and rituals, which creates discipline in our lives, right? And having discipline and routine helps us stay on track and not feel so overwhelmed. So instead of panicking and stressing and worrying about the new normal, I was rising up on every occasion, right? I was writing and publishing my first book, something I thought I would never do. I was recreating my coaching programs. I was diving into my current clients. I said, how can I serve you? Because not every client comes to me with such confidence, right? They're shaken quite a bit. So let me tell you about the 3 habits that I have built that have made a huge impact in my life. And I believe that they can help you too. I 100% believe that. So number 1 habit is that I get up every single day and I work on being the best version of me, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Every single day I say, what am I here to do today? How can I be a better version of me? I strive for that. I read, I meditate, I visualize, I choose health in a world that is so easily like unhealthy. So my health is something that I will never take for granted again. 10 years ago, I used to weigh 213 pounds. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. And I felt like I was settling in for a mediocre life, right? God gave me this very powerful voice, and I knew that as a child. But then I got into this stage of my life, and I felt like this was it, right? I was like, oh my God, I feel like there's something more for me, but clearly not. This is it, and I'm going to settle in. But something happened, right? I had an aha moment. And I changed my life forever. So I choose to improve and work on myself instead of allowing myself to just fall backwards. I choose to always stay healthy. I choose, right? So the second key to my success or habit that I believe, men, women, I don't care, right? Children, is self-care, self-love. When I think of self-care, I think self-respect. So many women, we divvy out ourselves to everyone. Everything gets the best version of us except for us. And that's how I got to 213 to begin with, right? I wanted to be the best mom and wife and an employee, sister, daughter that I could be, but I lost sight of me. And so when I started improving my self-care practices, when I started taking care of me and loving myself, ooh, right? Like life changed. Life changed. So when life gets tough and feels crazy and a bit overwhelmed, or maybe you're stressed out, I want you to do a self-care check. I want you to ask yourself, when's the last time I filled my energy tank up? When's the last time I said something really nice to me? Y'all, I cannot bless other people until I have blessed myself. So when days seem dark and I feel alone, I pour into myself even more with self-care. The third and final key to my success or habit that I want to encourage you to just adapt is I want you to adapt an attitude for gratitude, right? A positive mindset is critical for getting you through tough times. Tough times, good times, it doesn't matter. Every single day, I write down in my mindful memory book, and I sit and I reflect on all that is good in my life, all the areas that I am just blessed, because I know how terrible it could be if I chose to focus in on the negative. So I choose to focus in on the positive. And I just don't go beyond like, oh, thank you, God, for such an amazing life you gave me, right? I don't go and talk to my girlfriends like, oh, I had a great day. My 19-year-old decided to call me today, right? No, I really celebrate those wins. No matter how big or small your win is, it's time to celebrate them. Because we don't get to our big goals up here, right? We don't achieve great things. We don't get past tough things without going through the painful steps every bit of the way. How do you climb the mountain that seems so big? One step at a time, and celebrate every step that you go through. You guys, this habit alone, right? Every day of just gratitude and reflection and sharing my wins with people, it helps shield me from all the toxic crap in this world. It does. It's a shield of protection. So let me close with this. No matter what kind of dark days you are going through, I promise if you keep fighting, you will grow and you will overcome this situation. These crazy moments, right? COVID, what we're living in today, it will make us stronger. It will make us wiser and way more resilient. It will set us up for something greater later on. Everyone has the power to overcome, but you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to choose. You have to be willing to see the I can instead of the I can't. You have to be willing to lean into faith and trust that everything is going to be okay. My strength did not come from lifting weights in the gym. It came from getting back up every single time. So what do you say, you guys? Let's break through 2020, right? This painful year, and let's spark the change in 2021. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It has been an honor to share just a little bit of insight about my life and my journey and my tips and strategies. I welcome anyone over in the other session to ask me questions or to pick my brain. I would love to help it. And it's an honor to be a Spark coach. And I cannot wait to do more with Join the Journey in 2021.